Have you ever felt like your company's tech budget is just a total black box? Money is definitely going in, but trying to see the actual value coming out feels, well, almost impossible. Today, we're going to hand you the key. We are decoding the TBM taxonomy, a framework designed to bring some serious clarity to your tech spending. It seems like such a simple question, right? But for so many leaders, the answer is anything but simple. You see the budget, you see the total spend, but actually connecting those dollars to real, tangible business value can feel like you're chasing a ghost through the machine. And really, this is the heart of the problem. Finance, they talk in terms of CapEx and OpEx. IT is talking about servers, storage, and software licenses. And the business leaders, they just want to know what it costs to support their goals. It's like a corporate Tower of Babel, and all it does is get in the way of making smart decisions. So how do we cut through all this fog? Well, our journey today is going to take us through 6 key steps. We'll start by finding a common language. Then we'll dive into the brilliant 4-layer framework that's at the core of all this. We'll see how it turns messy data into sharp decisions, figure out how to make it work for your company, and finally discover the incredible power that comes from real clarity. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, how do we get everyone on the same page? We need a Rosetta Stone, right? A shared dictionary that translates between all these different corporate languages. And that is exactly what Technology Business Management, or TBM, gives us. So TBM is the discipline. It's this whole framework that's all about managing technology like a business, with the main goal of optimizing value. And it's built on 3 big pillars: creating transparency, so you actually know what you're spending; alignment, so tech investments are actually supporting business goals; and accountability, so everybody understands their role in all of this. And at the very heart of that TBM framework is the TBM taxonomy. You can think of this as the official dictionary. It's an open-source, standardized system of categories that everyone can use to classify every single dollar spent on technology. This is the absolute key to having consistent and comparable data. And this right here is the key insight. Think about it like this. Accountants have GAAP, right? Generally accepted accounting principles. It makes sure everyone reports their finances the same way. Well, the TBM taxonomy is basically GAAP for technology. It's a universal standard that ensures when you talk about, say, compute, you mean the exact same thing as every other department and even other companies. It's that rigorous. So how does this taxonomy actually work in practice? It's not just some flat list of terms. It's a really sophisticated 4-layer framework, where each layer builds on the one before it to create a complete story of your tech spending, from beginning to end. So these are the 4 layers that form the backbone of the entire model: cost pools, resource towers, solutions, and consumers. Think of it like a pyramid of understanding, and we're going to build it from the bottom up. Layer 1 is the financial foundation. It connects directly to your company's general ledger, which is the ultimate source of financial truth, and it sorts every dollar into standard buckets. Did we spend it on hardware, software, internal labor, external services? This is where we answer the very simple question, what did we buy? Now, with Layer 2, we start translating that financial data into the language of IT. We take the money from those cost pools and we map it to the actual technology resources we run. This is where we stop talking about just hardware and we start talking about specific things called resource towers. Okay, now this might look a little overwhelming at first, but it shows the incredible detail you get in Layer 2. Don't try to read everything, just kind of look at the main categories across the top. You've got infrastructure, application, operations, field, and office. Now, just as an example, look under infrastructure. You'll see familiar terms like compute, network, and storage. Each one of those is a tower. This gives IT leaders a complete, standardized map of their entire technology estate. I know that last slide might have looked a bit complex, but the structure is actually beautifully logical. Here's a super simple example. Within the infrastructure domain, you have the compute tower. And inside that tower, you can get even more granular with the server's subtower. This hierarchy lets you be as high level or as detailed as you need to be. So layers 1 and 2, they give us a really clear view of what we bought and what IT runs. But layer 3 is where the magic happens. This is where we translate the language of IT into the language of the business, connecting all those resource towers to the actual products and services that people use every single day. So what does a technology solution look like in the real world? Well, it could be a big business-facing system like your HR platform or your CRM. It could be a foundational service like network access, or it could just be the tools your employees use, like their laptops and mobile devices. This layer finally lets us talk about technology in terms the business actually understands. And finally, we get to layer 4, the consumers. This is what completes the picture. It takes the cost of those business solutions from layer 3 and shows exactly which business units or functions or value streams are using them. Now, you can trace a dollar all the way from the general ledger to the value it creates for the business. So, we've built this beautiful 4-layer model. But what's the payoff? The so what? The answer is that this structure lets you create these incredibly powerful, actionable reports or views for every single stakeholder in the company. This slide here really sums up the whole journey. We start with the raw financial data. What do we buy? Then we map it to our IT inventory. What technology do we run? We bundle that up into services. What do we deliver? And finally, we connect it to the business. Who's getting the value? It's a logical chain that transforms raw data into real insight. And the benefits here are huge. You can now trace every single dollar. You can finally see how your spending stacks up against your competitors using benchmarks. You start making decisions based on facts, not just guesswork. And crucially, you can give every leader, from finance to IT to the business, the exact view of the data that they actually care about. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, but my company is unique. A rigid standard isn't going to work for us. And you know what? That's a fair point. But the beauty of the TBM taxonomy is that it's a standard with built-in intentional flexibility. The TBM Council is really clear about this. You absolutely can and you should adapt it. If a category doesn't apply to you, just leave it out. If you need to add a category that's specific to your industry, you can extend it. You can even mix and match elements from different versions as you adopt it over time. The one thing you can't do is change that fundamental 4-layer hierarchy, because that's the thing that guarantees consistency and lets you benchmark against others. All right. Let's bring this all home. Why does a shared language for technology spending truly matter? Well, it all comes down to one thing: the power of clarity. When IT, finance, and business are all using the TBM taxonomy, they're all working from a single, trusted source of truth. The arguments over whose numbers are right, they just disappear. And instead, you can have productive, fact-based conversations about the real issues: the cost, the quality, and most importantly, the value of your technology investments. And really, that's the question to leave you with, isn't it? What new strategies could you unlock? What innovations could you finally fund? What smarter decisions could you make if everyone in your company finally spoke the same language?